lot of opportunities that are presented by the announcement made by the President, but the summit as a whole, providing a space and a platform for important discussions to happen for the advancement of developing nations. And of course, business will be at the forefront of leading this development. We've got Bret Singh, who is a businessman himself, and of course he was a BRICS Business Delegate attending the summit, and of course taking in everything that's happened over the last 3 days. Bret, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Let's maybe start with a reflection on that business forum and why it was so important before we get into this expanded version of BRICS that we saw today.
Thanks, Rofhiwa. It's great to see you again. And yeah, the BRICS Business Forum was an amazing platform. We heard from the leadership of the BRICS Business Council, and we've also heard from the presidents of the various BRICS nations. I believe there were some key outcomes from that. You know, this year's summit is centered around BRICS and Africa, and how can Africa contribute to, you know, the trade agreements and the MOUs that have been signed between the BRICS countries themselves. So I really believe that there was an amazing job to bring Africa into the conversation, inclusivity of African companies. We also were highlighted with a report that was given by Sim Shabalala from Standard Bank Group to showcase all of the high-level sort of data outcoming from the BRICS Business Forum. We've seen that the GDP of the BRICS countries have now surpassed that of the G7, and now with the addition of some new nations, it looks like there's going to be a progressive increase of the BRICS sort of bloc as the years go by. But we're really excited as emerging entrepreneurs from South Africa. We're very excited to see our counterparts come from Brazil, from India, from China, from Russia, you know, from all of the other countries. And I believe one of the key things that I've been keeping on hearing is that Africa is ready. We as the youth are the youngest continent. 6 of the fastest growing economies in the world, the top 10 fastest growing economies, are in Africa. And so it was of utmost importance that after many years of no BRICS sort of in-person summits, they all came to Johannesburg, and we also welcomed them to Johannesburg, South Africa, to see what sort of partnerships and collaborations can take place for emerging entrepreneurs, small business, and also big business.
Yeah, and let's speak more about the expansion that we saw today. A huge announcement being made, and really just unlocking a lot of opportunity for yourselves as small and medium business, but also for economies at large. Your thoughts on the 6? Have you done any business? Are you familiar with any of them? And the opportunities that they could potentially unlock?
Yeah, you know, one of the major signings was the beautiful country of Ethiopia. And as we know, Ethiopia is really famous not only for their culture, for their coffee, but also for one of Africa's most popular airlines. In fact, when I was coming back from China, I was on Ethiopian Airlines from Beijing all the way to Johannesburg. And they're expanding their travel routes. I heard the president of Brazil said at the BRICS Business Forum, he's disappointed that there is no direct flights, continuous flights from Sao Paulo to Johannesburg. So I think the leaders have heard that there needs to be more traveling, there needs to be more discussion about trading. And what I'm concerned about most importantly is how can small business, how can medium business, how can emerging entrepreneurs also take advantage and also take the opportunity of all of these BRICS agreements that are being signed. Because at the end of the day, we need to see changes in youth unemployment. We need to see unemployed graduates being given an opportunity to be part of some of these initiatives that are taking place at BRICS. So I think that's what I'm really focused on, and we've been asked to bring some investors, bring some other entrepreneurs on board to be part of these discussions. And what we're hoping to see is that not just talking, but also we can try and have action so that the ordinary citizens of South Africa, just like you and me, can also see contribution and see growth in our own communities, in our own neighborhoods, and we can grow and prosper as one.
What are the big bottlenecks that the now 11 states are going to have to deal with when it comes to doing business in South Africa, on the rest of the continent, in any developing emerging market economy?
Look, we're currently working on the promotion of sales of South African goods, made in South Africa, finished goods.
And that's very important.
Yes, very important to the Chinese market and to the other emerging economy markets. What we've seen, Rofhiwa, is that firstly, to sell to those nations, if we want to sell made in South Africa, we need to first have them understand our culture, our language, bring them to South Africa, invite them and come and see how beautiful our country is, and actually somehow use technology to help boost this trade. For example, I've seen that if we can create the right kind of content, different types of languages. Imagine if we create content in Amharic for Ethiopia, or in Arabic for Saudi Arabia, or in Spanish for Argentina, or Portuguese for Brazil. Maybe our market will also improve and also increase, don't you think? So I'm really interested to see how content creators in South Africa can also be part of this, how exporting businesses, how supply chain businesses, logistic businesses can also be in charge and take center stage in this new developing economy. As we're seeing these other big economies joining BRICS, we need to see more young entrepreneurs, more young business people to come and say, I'm here, I'm ready, I want to trade with you. So we need to have people in those nations strategically ready to help, foster those collaborations. And I think we have lacked that due to COVID-19. A lot of the businesses and chambers of commerce that were situated in those other countries have somehow decreased. But now, as we are continuing to pick up our the pieces from COVID, we want to see more increase, from that going forward. Yeah.
Thank you very much for those insights, Bret Singh, a businessman joining us. He attended as a delegate of the BRICS Business Council this week, weighing in on the developments of the last 3 days, but also the announcements and how these new markets that have been introduced have the opportunity to unlock a great growth if the right collaborations are created in key sectors.